And we are recording. What's up, everyone? Carmen Denisco here, UIA TV. We got a great episode today. We got some great guests. And of course, we have King of Manufacturing himself, Mr. Christopher Guerrero. Chris, what's up, man?
Hey, Carmine, how's it going? Just back from all these shows, right? Back to back to back to back trade shows in the first quarter.
Dude, crazy.
Pretty intense.
Yeah, crazy stuff. I mean, we like traveling and doing things, but that was a lot.
I'm not sure if people really understand how much work is involved with organizing an event like we just did, right? CES, PGA, International Houseware, and then the National Hardware Show. There's so much work involved with organizing space, inventor connections, doing the stages. We offer now not just Pitch to Pros, but the Sharks pitch room with live video recording. It's a amount of work with getting it created, getting the travel lined up, the times lined up, making sure everyone understands their role. A lot of work involved with it. That when we show up and it gets pulled off seamlessly, it looks like it's pretty easy. But 3 months had already gone into the planning.
Yeah. Well, then you have things that are out of your control, like flights being canceled and people just calling up and say, hey, I stubbed my toe, I can't make it, kind of thing. And that really throws a wrench in the gears.
Yeah. And I think today what we want to talk about it a little bit, we had Matt Anderson with Scale Up Tools, who's a really great inventor, and he had shown some products at the show that blew me away. I think from this show we'll have like the best pitch at our next shows because his pitch was so good. And Amy Jo's with us, who always works with Matt and us and helps us organize the events and helps inventors with licensing and just innovation. I think it's really a good opportunity for us to talk a little bit about it, because I think this is the first time Matt was in our area, and man, the rewards for him were outstanding. And that's the stuff that I live for. When someone has that kind of success and that kind of respect for what we do, it just makes all of it that much better and really makes me want to work harder to continue to grow it and make it better.
No, I totally agree. And we'll bring Matt and Amy Jo on. But what's great about what Matt and Amy Jo, what they do is they don't just sit around and think, oh, the people are going to come to me. I don't have to work hard. These guys are busting their ass to get this stuff done. Obviously, it shows. But and we'll talk to Matt and Amy Jo about it. It's not an easy thing, but if you keep at it, you keep doing it. I mean, obviously, you reap the rewards. So yeah, I can't wait to talk to them and see what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, you can see even with Matt did a video on setting up the booth, right? The thought process of how it should look, how you should display stuff, and then really having folks do the entire show, not just hang out at the booth. So now you've got a lot of dynamics going on, and it paid off.
Yeah,
so let's bring them on. So let's bring Matt and Amy Jo on the show. Hey guys, thanks for being on today. We got some storms coming in. Internet is in and out, so hang tight. It's going to be a fun ride.
All right.
Great. That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit, Amy Jo and Matt. How you guys work together, and then really how you got Matt into our inventor area, right? Which is, National Hardware Show calls it the next stage, which really is the next opportunity, new innovation, new products, and all the education we bring. So talk about that a little bit.
Oh man. Okay. So I feel like so lucky to have met Matt because, I mean, we work together. We've been working together for years because he, like you said, he is an amazing inventor. He has so many inventions that it's even hard for me to keep up. And I've worked with hundreds of inventors at the same time, and he calls me and I'm like, oh yeah, I have this deal going on, or I have that deal going on, or whatever. But he's like, you know what, this year I'm going to make that step to invest in going to the National Hardware Show. We have these tools, and he spent so much time prepping for making sure that his booth looks awesome. He made his own design work. He did his own banners and like the setup and all of the promotion aspects for his booth, which the terminology I may be lacking some there when it comes to that. But I mean, he was just like really excited about the fact that you guys were able to help him understand how to get set up, have an opportunity to be in an awesome location. And I mean, he's going to talk about all the brilliant stuff that happened at the show, because unfortunately I was not there, but I tried to help my best to help him prep for the show. But there was a lot of success, a lot of traffic, and we are still, talking about the success of the show. So
Yeah, which prep is a big deal, as Matt knows. Prep's a big deal.
Yep, it is. There was a lot of planning. To get your promotional stuff ready for show is totally different than all the other, forms of media. And you have to take into account people's perception as they come into the room and approach the booth, and engaging them. And so, Amy Jo says, she didn't do a lot in some ways, but actually I was running everything past her, trying to get, fit the certain elements of the message onto the wall and make sure I didn't leave stuff out. And then one critical point, she said, "Hey, what's your big message here? I think that's missing." And so the message ended up being, to expand your brand, with our tools. And that ended up being the headliner for the wall. And before that, it was just a space, right? And so then that went on to be what we promoted in all the material that we circulated at the show. So we had a great time, though. We did make our own sign, handmade, and we did all the graphics, in-house for the booth. And trying to fit everything in was tough, because I actually did have 8 different products there, and all looking for licensing partners, where most of the booths would have one or some line extensions of it. And the UIA was real accommodating about that, because we were trying to fit in a lot. But it turned out that we did promote every product that we had there, and they went to the appropriate people, and there was a lot of variety too. Some were real targeted, like for a particular big box store, and others were, maybe even outside of what you'd think of for the hardware show. Like we even had a product there for 3D printing, and we have talks in the works for licensing that out. So yeah, overall, fantastic experience, top to bottom.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about, when you got there. I mean, Matt, when you get there, what is it? Just like a big open room? They say, "Here's your space," right? What do you do?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because they actually had the limits on the floor with tape. They had, this, you got to stay inside here. And so we had to kind of fit things in there. And then we actually didn't discover until we were there in Las Vegas that we could get in for a few hours on Sunday. And we had some big equipment, so we drove there. We were super tired, but we were having something to eat, and we looked at the schedule, and I don't know how I missed that, but we said, well, let's go to the show. So when we got there,
speaking of which, okay, I'm gonna pause you for a second, Matt. You drove there from Nebraska.
we did.
You drove from Nebraska to Las Vegas with a trailer.
Yep, with a trailer.
It's commitment. It's all about commitment.
Yeah.
Yep. And we drove straight. So we left at like 2:00 and on Saturday, and then we drove 20 hours and got there, and we thought, well, we'll have something to eat. Can't get into the hotel till 3, and then looked that up and said, well, let's just go. And so it was really an empty room, because there were 2 people in it besides us.
Wow.
Setting up. And we just went ahead and got started. And so when the rest of our team got there, which was Monday, they had hardly anything to do, because we set everything up. And we felt like we really got a jump on it, because of that. But it was just a clean slate.
Isn't it crazy how you can walk in, it's just an empty room, and literally 2 days later, it looks grand, right? Booths, all the different designs, the stages up, the stuff with Damon John and the Sharks pitch room. It's pretty cool how that whole thing takes place, but that's what it is, right? It's an empty room.
Yeah.
That we turn into this dynamic center of innovation.
Yeah, tons of energy in there. And it was busy from minute number 1 on day 1, 9:01. The influencers were walking in the door saying, let us get a video of your tools. So there was no downtime. It was just go, go, go. Yeah.
Matt, so I tried to warn Matt beforehand. Okay, so I'm going to tell Chris and Carmine, you guys did an amazing job when it comes to funneling in the traffic for this space, because I wasn't even there, but based off of what Matt told me, he's like, I couldn't leave the booth. But I told him before he got there, it was like, you're gonna need some backup, like you need to have some other people there in case, for, like lunch breaks, you need a drink, whatever. You want to walk the room yourself a little bit. You need to have people, manning your booth. And he's like, that's a great idea. This was like at the beginning of the conversations of planning. So he brings his daughter and his daughter's friend, and he has these other guys that are with him too, that also have the products and everything. Who also, like, I mean, the booth was amazing, and from based off of what he said, because we're in conversations with licensing deals, potential patent buyouts. Like it's crazy. It's crazy, like what happened. And then with the influencer aspect that he's referring to, that's another thing that is a huge benefit, in my opinion, for the whole event itself, when it comes to all of us working together.
Then Amy Jo, you think about this, we have all the education set up, right? Then we have multiple pitch panels going on at the same time. So we have pitch to pros in the next stage area. Then we have a sharks pitch room where a lot recorded pitching's going on all at the same time. And Matt's
All
trying to get
going
involved in
on.
all of that, right?
We're not
So it has
losing
to plan,
time.
right?
We're
It has
not
to be
losing
really
time. It's
organized.
Well,
That's
it's
right.
good.
Yeah, well,
You know,
what's scary to me, sorry, man. What's scary to me is that, I'm always doing something dumb at these shows. And with all these cameras and all these things, I've been going to events for a long time. I'm old. And, and Matt, it has really transpired over when you had these events and these trade shows, you hardly saw a camera. There were these big cameras, and now these influencer people are walking around with these little miniature cameras and they're shooting HD video. It's amazing how it's transpired, but there's always a camera running. There's always somebody taking pictures. So you kind of have to be on all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
Then you got your drones flying around.
Yeah, that's right. I saw a guy named Carmine, and he was droning that whole thing.
And then you truly don't know who's right. Sometimes people are watching, you don't know who they are. Like Mindy was there again from Shark Tank Casting, and you've got buyers who don't show that they're a buyer on the badge, right? Matt, you had an experience like that.
Yeah, we absolutely did. So we had a product that we really needed to find the right person for it, and it's really geared towards a big box store. And I sort of felt this guy needed to see this, and it was later in the show, and I had not had it on the table. We didn't even have a space for it. It was going to be kind of a direct showing to just particular people, but the guy had his badge backwards, and he said, "Hey, I want to see what you got here." And I pulled that one out, and I showed it to him, and he said, "Well, this is ideal because I'm the scout for Home Depot and Lowe's, and this is the kind of product that we want to see." And in fact, we had branded that product with one of those stores so that it could be seen exactly how it would look. So it was, looks like, feels like prototype. And I'm in talks with him now. Actually, the way that we engaged was different than his normal business model. But we've come up with a way that works for everybody to work together. And it ended up that I didn't contact him right away. After a couple of days, he contacted me through our website, which has a funnel on there of what products you want to see. And we had 8 products, and he checked 6 of them that he thought would be a fit. And we're talking about all these products that he wants to get into those stores. So you never know where it'll go. And that's the one guy that I showed one particular product to. So that was pretty exciting. He didn't turn that badge around until he saw something.
And it's funny because I always say, like, you have to be present. You can't do it from your living room. Can't do it from down. You have to be present where the buyers are. And again, being prepared, doing your homework, like not even sure who you're talking to, but always presenting, always selling, always showing, being ready. And then look at what happens. The guy shows you who he is. Next thing you know, you're in these licensing discussions, and who knows where this goes now, right? But it's, again, so important to be present and be prepared and be ready. So when I hear that, that's what we want, man. That's the end goal, is to put you in a position to be successful.
Yeah. And the cool thing about this is like, it's not even limited to licensing. So the conversations as of right now, the majority is leaning towards the licensing route, which we love. You know that I love that, and also manufacturing, of course. But there are unique situations that conversations that are at hand right now that came out of the show that are going to help evolve the way that I think products are going to be able to have it, like for like somebody like Matt or myself, for example, as an inventor at the in this corner, and in like what you guys, what the UIA is doing, what we're doing, is it can, there are so many opportunities in the sense that it's like it could be way bigger than it is right now. Like, I mean, even bigger, like you guys continue growing. You have the Shark Tank thing, you have this, you have that. And I mean, Matt has these opportunities for not only, like I said, licensing deals, possible conversations of patent buyouts, bringing those influencers in that we're talking about. I mean, the people want to be there. The influencers want to be there.
Amy Jo, you bring a good point up, but we grew into our own space at the hardware show, which again has grown.
You created the space.
Right, even bigger. And from all the shows, we've had over 1,000 pitch to pros. We actually had some folks, I'll give you an example, the pro paintbrush guys, Tyson, said from between the building show and the hardware show, he sold over 20,000 units. It's like insane. Like from 2 shows. Like, so he wasn't looking to license, he's looking to sell. He sold over 20,000. So it's a cross mix, right? Like, it depends on what you're looking to do and what the buyers are going to do. But again, if you're not there, it can't happen. So we want to make it, want to put you in a nice professional environment, give you opportunities. I mean, at CES, we had Damon there. We had people pitching directly to Damon. I mean, think of how cool that was. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, that's incredible.
Respectful to his time and allowed him to pitch. And it was really a great experience.
Yeah. And the thing is like, I mean, we all know face-to-face opportunities, like in person, you get to know people a little bit better. You can build that bond a little stronger. And those are extra, that's like kind of like icing on the cake. But like you said, showing up to the party is when you get to shake hands and get the deal done to a certain extent. I'm not saying that in a way like you're gonna close a deal at the show, but that's you're gonna get yourself in conversations with, hey, yeah, I'm interested in that. Matt, I would like for you to share with them the other story quickly, if we have time, about the guy that you thought that he was the marketing guy, but he actually was somebody different. And when you were talking about, you shared him.
Oh, yeah. So I was dealing with a company called Hoto, and they are out of China. That's home tools, and they're a first-class outfit. And the CEO was there and others, and they ended up having she visited the booth, and then she had to stay at her booth. So she sent over the marketing lady, and another guy accompanied her that was a marketing guy. And they were asking all the questions about one of our products. They were asking about licensing and the terms. And it was like we were having a negotiation right there, and it went great. Well, then she actually got an alert on her phone that she had to go do some type of an activity in Vegas that she scheduled, and she had to leave the show because she doesn't, she's not in America all the time, and was so apologetic. Well, the guy stayed, and when she left, he said, I am new to the marketing because I'm actually the industrial designer for them, and they brought me with to evaluate products and to help with the marketing. So we just put marketing on my badge. And his name was Lou, and he was also from China. And I said, you are? I said, well, I have something to show you. And I hadn't shown it to anybody. And it is a kit for 3D printing that helps you to put threads, metal threads, into parts, into plastic parts. And I showed that to him, and he said he would use this every day, and that he wanted to put that on the list of what they wanted to talk about. And so now we have 2 products that we're negotiating with them for a licensing deal. And they already have put those into their R&D people to evaluate them. And, it's just that he mentioned he was the industrial designer. I had not shown that one to anyone else either, because a lot of the guys there are for, what can I put on my drill, or, what kind of a tool do you have for my shop? but this was kind of a category that I might not have had the opportunity to show. But if you just talk to the people, you know, you get a little more information and you find that there's a path for almost anything that you bring. And that's the beauty of that energy of having that hall and, you know, having that be your zone, because you get into the zone of promoting your products, and you know, you just never know where it's going to lead. So yeah, that was a good one that nobody
Well,
expected.
what's cool with that, and when Matt initially told me about that one, is goes to your point, Karma or Chris, I'm sorry, about showing up, because when he was telling me about that, like that conversation would have never, like if you look up that company, that we would have never thought that would be the type of company to present that particular product to, because they're not currently working on that in that space, but they want to.
Well, and to that end, even further detail on that, that product of mine depends on a temperature controlled heating iron that melts these things in. And you know, he obviously understood that when I showed him the product, and he said, this is amazing because that is the next product we're already going to come out with, is that temperature controlled soldering iron that actually is what this product is based off of. So with your, you know, innovation that goes with that iron, we'll be ready to go almost immediately. And, you know, how would we know that they were coming out with that kind of a product next? You know, we would not have targeted that company. So yeah, it couldn't have worked out better for either one of us. I mean, it was ideal, so they can monetize that same product they already have in a new way that actually has no competition, this particular product. So yeah, that was fantastic.
But again, as being present, you know, even in the Sharks pitch room, you know, I didn't see the list who's presenting. I was one of the judges on the panels, and when Matt walked in, really organized, had a couple different segments, and he went into his pitch, and I started listening to it. I'm like, damn. Then he started going into the elaborate scaling of the product design and what it did. I was like, this is not only was a pitch great, the product design and concept, you know, what he was doing was great, and it simplified it.
Thank you.
Took away all the different angles, and I said, okay, Matt, you did a lot of work on this. That was obvious. Like you spent a lot of time on this, and that's truly what I'm talking about when you're talking about innovation. That product is truly innovative, and I could see why someone would take that in a heartbeat. It is amazing what you did, and that's the type of stuff that blows me away. Right? You were clearly prepared. You know, and I don't know how much you pitch, but you came across as one of the best pitchers that day. So like there's a lot of things that could be learned from how Matt did this show for others, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. And I did take my daughter in there to try and enhance everything, because, you know, she was kind of the Vanna White, and I didn't have to think about taking a product up to the judges and that kind of thing. And
Right.
and that was a lot of fun for her. And she actually works trade shows for the industry that she's in, the beverage industry, from the empty room all the way to, you know, the networking. And she travels the country doing that. And so I guess I co-opted her, just like Amy Jo. You know, like Henry Ford says, I've got buttons in my office, I can press them, and the smartest people in the world come into my office. You know, I was
And we tried to make
enough
it truly like a Shark Tank pitch, where you come in, you get set up, you have 90 seconds, it's recorded, then questions start, and it goes back and forth, and it you know, and I thought your pitch was outstanding. I left saying that is one of the most innovative products I've seen. There was like 2 or 3 that in that whole pitch thing. One another one had some tools, but yours, the elaboration of how it took away all that strain, the cord pulling, I can relate to, because I've done that before. So like, especially when you can make your pitch relatable to somebody who's used it, you instantly get the message, which I think is always done better in person than maybe on a Zoom, especially when you're doing like videos. You really got to focus on the solution. I thought it was really good, Matt. You sounds like you had a really great show, because everything I saw that you did really presented itself well, including the booth, the pitches, and now hearing all the results of people being interested in companies wanting to do business with you is what it's all about. Right?
Yeah.
The education's part of it, but that's the end game.
That's true. And
That is.
there are so many unique things that happen from the show, it's hard to even remember them all. But like 2 of our tools were filmed for 45 seconds each, and one of them has almost 5 million views on Instagram. One has like 3.5, and those guys, the licensing offers just are coming in. People are contacting us through the website. Like people outside of America, people in Canada, people overseas. So those guys, you know, they're doing fantastic. But it's also inventors helping each other because, you know, I did a lot of work on the booth, but this is the first time I've come to the hardware show. So I wanted to do it on the cheap if I could.
Yeah.
And I found great companies that make, you know, the pop-up booth walls. And I made my own sign, and we were able to set that all up and really make it look good. And after the show was winding down, I talked to a lot of inventors. I gave them that information about where they can get, you know, the most cost-effective stuff. And I think a lot of them are going to take advantage of that and kind of up their game for next time. In fact, I already contacted Reed Exhibitions a week ago and said, I need that same booth for next year, right? I need to be right back in that area, same booth, don't give it to anybody. So they sent me the contract over.
Wow.
And yeah, because it was so ideal that, and we have other stuff that we couldn't fit in this one, but, and we'll have more by then. But I think even if I didn't have any other tools ready, I was going to book that booth and, you know, get something in there for next year.
Make something.
I mean, that speaks loud, right? The fact you're in
Yeah.
a victory space. I mean, that speaks loud. You were in a good spot too.
Yeah.
And, you know, we will continue to take this to the next level. I mean, like even the Sharks pitch room, we wanted to make it unique, right? And I think, you know, we'll even start doing things like having televisions on the outside. We want to make this one private, right? So it's only you, the camera, and the panel. But now, right, you start getting views, people start seeing videos. It's like Shark Tank. Carmine was present when I aired. I think we sold 8,000 units before the show ended on Amazon and 10,000 units over the weekend because so many people were watching. It's the same effect you're having now. So it's really great to hear that feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I was talking about with the cameras. Like you said, Matt, you just never know what's happening. I mean, people come by, you don't know whose video behind that camera, and there you go. You know, so that's why you have to be prepared. You have to be ready. You know, we get a lot of people on the internet that claim, you know, trade shows are dead or they're not worth it. And I think it's mostly because, one, they're not prepared to go to the trade shows. You know, they don't, you know, they're coming there and they're expecting people just to flock to their place and throw money at them. It's not like that. If you put in your time, you do your due diligence and get ready, I think trade shows are just really well worth it.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, there was a really high number of high level participants in the show that did not even display in the hardware show. Like there's a major tape company. The vice president was there and he spent 30 minutes in our booth because we had a taping tool, and they are making the move right now to sell more than tape. And they want to sell tools and accessories for the tape, even though that's a leap for them a little bit because they're really good at making the consumable, right? Well, he said this could maybe push us over the edge more than we even were. And so I'm in talks with him, and they are, I mean, this is one of the biggest companies in the world. And, you know, I got to know the guy 30 minutes and I said, hey, I'll come over to your space. He said, this is my space. The inventor area was his space. He came to find out what was new and what was happening. So
Yeah, I think that's amazing. We even had a visitor from Reed who runs all of it. We had the CEO, president, the global president for the world. They were blown away. They said the surveys always come back. The buyers love this area. It's like their number one spot. And the inventors, the feedback from them has been over the top. And that's why it continues to grow. And we'll just keep bringing more opportunities and more ways to display and get products out. Because again, the Shark Tank effect for me was unbelievable. Like the audience seeing it and the effect of buying, the buying power from a large audience. And I think, Matt, you're seeing some of that now by having foot traffic, getting views. I mean, it sounds like you had like an absolute best of the best type of show.
I did, yeah.
First
I
show,
hope I
right?
get that. I hope I get that same booth next year, but I might not be able to get it because you guys are going to need a bigger boat. So
Well, we'll have a bigger boat. We'll just make sure you're anchored in the front.
Do you pick
that's
that
right.
booth, Matt? Matt, did you pick that booth or they gave it to you?
Well, you know what? That exhibition company, Reed, they they really understand what's going on with the inventors area, because as I talked to them and talked to Amy Jo about the things I wanted to do, it was a process because they thought that my tools were selling, right? Because I have videos and I sent them, I said, this is what I need to display in here. And I don't want to be limited. I don't want to get 8 booths, right? You know, I that wouldn't be practical. And as it started to, the talks went on, they said, you know what we'll do? We'll get you a peninsula that is open on 3 sides. So you can get the traffic, you can get the exposure, you won't seem boxed in with all your stuff. So Reed really worked with me, and you know, Amy Jo helped negotiate all that stuff so that we could get what we wanted. But now I picked it. Yeah, now I said, well, this is, I got to have that again. So
Well, and what I want to clarify for a second, when you say that your products are not selling, again, this goes through the mixture of what happens in our corner, because people have booths there who do have products that they're currently selling, and they also have booths there that they're trying to showcase to for licensing opportunities. So it's like a blend. But I just want to reiterate that to whoever's watching this, because that's what Matt was focusing on, is more of like the licensing approach initially, and then they were accommodating.
Yeah, so you know, people say not selling, they mean not selling well. What I mean is this is stuff that is not on the market
Started
yet.
selling yet.
Yeah, we're developing those partners, and this time next year they'll all be selling probably in every store you can imagine, even outside of America, because of what we got out of this. But I don't know if you think about it, even influencers that are online, they have a big conference every year where they meet in person. Well, they could just do it online, but they don't, right? You got to get together.
There is something. I think we all agree. There's something about being in person and being present. I think, you know, it just shows you again, like the power of the network. You know, you hear the word teamwork, but it's all true, right? It's everyone working together for a common goal. And that's what all of us are trying to do, is help everybody become successful. And the more of an audience, the more viewing, the more opportunity, the more you're present, the more chances are you are becoming successful at launching and or licensing your product.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly. And I wanted to circle back, just highlight on a point that Matt made earlier, just really quickly, because Chris, what you just said and what Matt said too, about like kind of everybody coming together and helping each other, like inventors helping each other, like with Matt, like sharing the details of how he could maybe make his like banners and different things like that more cost effectively than other resources. I mean, again, that's a way to be able to help people, because if you can save money on a banner, then it gets you that much closer to be able to have a banner and have a booth at the show. You know, anytime that you can, you know, pinch pennies a little bit in order to be able to make it to the show and show up in person, you know, that's what we're all trying to do here together. So we can all get together and have a nice little creative party.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Well, yeah,
And it was fun.
Yeah,
it was kind of like a party there, except the one pitch that I did, the pitch still went really well, even though my microphone dissolved right before my ears, and it gave the feedback loop, and you know, kind of shut the show down for a second, and then they had to bring in a new microphone. But it didn't matter, because the team spirit of the whole thing, everybody just worked together, and they're, you know, it's like Congress. I'm reclaiming my time. You know, we'll start you over. You know, so
and even Carmine brought up, we're going to start looking at having cameras where you're pitching, so as you're talking to the judges, the folks in the back can see it on the television screen. And I think when we do our Alibaba program, there's televisions everywhere, like big screens. You'll see everything that's going on. The person that's way in the back of the room will be able to hear it and see it all at the same time. There'll be so much coverage, which I think will certainly help the audience more as well, seeing what's happening up front.
Yep. It was a lot of fun. But I mean, the traffic was so high that I missed the pitches, right? Because I had to stay at my booth, and there was constantly some great new person to talk to. And so I saw
you in there, you were doing your own pitches, right? So there was so much action.
Yeah. It was a whirlwind. That it went really quickly, but the results are all tangible, right? Millions of views, deals in progress, pitching to the Shark Pitch panel, to Chris and all the different judges, and great stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty much going to be a permanent fixture at it. So,
I love it.
you know,
But there you go, Carmine.
So in other words, you're satisfied.
We're gonna
You're
close it
satisfied,
on that
Matt.
note. There you go. We're gonna have
Yeah.
to update Andy for next year. More
Yeah.
tech, more pitching, more cameras, more space.
that's right. That's what it takes. But
No doubt.
I
No
can't
doubt.
see ever going the other way. I think that it'll be hard to fit everybody in every year after this. So just like it was this year,
Yeah.
you know, so.
No
All right.
doubt.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate you coming on and talking about it. And I just, for me, the gratitude of the success you had just makes it all worthwhile and all the time we spent putting it on. So congratulations and thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Great job. Great job. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening in. We are going to close out the show. If you're not a member of the UIA, make sure you go on out to UIAUSA.org, join up, become a member, and help us out so we can help you out. We thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.